so small, I got big dreams.
Ho 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 everybody, welcome back to Pun Fun, where we have fun with the puns. My name is Ryan and we're going to check out the season finale of the Marvel series Hawkeye. If you haven't yet seen the season finale of Marvel series Hawkeye, please be sure to do so, as there are major spoiler alerts ahead. I mean, this is like the doozy of them all because it actually concludes some part of the storyline. It actually opens up a lot more other storylines, and we're gonna tell you how it ties into other MCU properties and where they're going with this, and why this was important to have all this shown within the, I guess, the holiday time. Besides, you know, the fact of inconvenience. Anyways, so we're gonna get into, for example, the costumes, how accurate they were, how panel for panel, everything was exactly like the comic book, and we're not like talking about, you know, I did mention about the car chase and all that, but we're talking about the Kingpin himself with his purple and white, you know, suit and, you know, his cane and all that jazz. It was fun to see him, and who would have thought that they would have taken something so cartoony and made him look so menacing. I mean, the actor himself definitely brought some gravitas to that role, and I mean, Marvel definitely saw it and brought him onto the MCU. Will there be other characters or other properties that will be brought from the Netflix series or other, you know, distant not MCU properties and into this world? Well, it's going to be a trend, and again, I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen certain things in certain places. We're trying to keep it, you know, Hawkeye or oriented. However, we will have a Spider-Man No Way Home breakdown in our next episode, and quite shortly, because this episode is going to be hella short this time around, because it was a lot of fan service, a lot of action, and let's just get into it. So first of all, like we said, we saw the costumes, and even Hawkeye's other costume without his helmet and, you know, giant H. We even have Kate Bishop with her iconic costume, which she will now carry out throughout the MCU, unless she gets an upgrade via, well, who knows, maybe Riri Williams, or I don't know, any of the other Avengers who are who are handy with a needle and thread. Now, that all being said, we get a deeper knowledge of what exactly Eleanor had to go through. So she's actually paying off a debt of her husband's debt that was due to the Kingpin. And the Kingpin, you don't just like opt out or pay him off, because, like, for example, this bill, if you will, has been going on for over a decade, and still she's like, you know what, I want out, and he's like, no, there's only one way out with the Kingpin. And obviously we kind of see that going forward. And now we're going to talk about the swordsman himself, so Jack. So Jack was telling the truth to some degree, that he wasn't aware of what's going on or what's happening, again, to some degree, because even in comic books, he does seem like a good guy, even to the Avengers' eyes. However, he was brought upon by the 10 Rings to infiltrate the Avengers and, you know, help them out and trade secrets and all that jazz. So maybe that could be, you know, a deeper tie or a deeper link that Jack will have, you know, further into the MCU. However, in this case, he was exactly what the comic book was all about. It was impressing the Avenger by, you know, fighting by their side and, you know, having his sword and all that stuff. So it was definitely cool, and it was definitely fun to see that they followed through. And this series, and I think a lot of the Phase 4 series, it's all about duality. So characters that were starting off to be villains that ended up being, you know, great characters or good characters, and then characters that should be good or, you know, were written to be good or actually kind of turning, you know, onto the dark side. Now, the chase for the watch. So I know we've mentioned the watch before. We thought maybe it was Kingpin's watch because, you know, he does have Rolexes. I mean, why wouldn't he? But in this case, it was issued by S.H.I.E.L.D. and it was given to Laura. So she may have had to change her name, you know, because she was involved with a certain crime and they needed to have their own life. So it's kind of weird that Clint was able to keep his name, but in her case, she had to change her name. Anyway, or maybe because she always carried her name. That doesn't matter. What does matter is that we finally understand that the watch had a sentimental value. Maybe there is the NFT thing that I was talking about, and maybe other functionalities to it, but it could have just been, you know, a tie to her and to that world. So maybe if Kingpin were to find it and maybe find traces of DNA or whatever it is, trace it back to their family. So they want to make sure that they cut all ties and protect their family as much as they can. That being said, Agent 19 is ultimately Mockingbird. So we were right when we thought or guessed, because again, Hawkeye does have a relationship with Mockingbird, and you know they showed it through that, they confirmed it rather through that watch. So that is definitely cool. There's also the one-on-one now that we have with the clowns, and so Cassie, versus Echo, and then ultimately Echo kills him, and then also versus the Kingpin, which we think she may have shot him dead, and we hear this big thump. We don't know what exactly fell. He may have survived it. I mean, he's very, very resistant, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be back at it, maybe even running for mayor, because that's kind of like what the story arc is all about. He gets injured and kind of like sees more of the limelight because he's now in the open, but he's like, you know what, I've done so much for the city, I want to now become the mayor and protect the people from these kind of hooligans and whatnot. So Echo will be a target by so many people, which may bring in a certain lawyer, but we're not going to get into those details just as yet because we don't know where we're going. But when the Echo series come out, we're going to be definitely excited about it, because now we know that she's going to have to be on the run, and from exactly who, well, that's up, that's still to be determined. So the fight scene that we see on ice at the Rockefeller tree, obviously very cool. There's a fact that there's an Easter egg on its own. The fact that she actually destroys it means that there's events from certain places that occurred either before or after. Again, we're not trying to spoil anything, but keep that in mind. We'll bring that up in the next episode for sure. And yeah, having Yelena versus Hawkeye, go at it, and recognizing the moves and all that was fun, because it was kind of like Natasha versus Hawkeye, and he finally convinces her with their little iconic whistle that he is actually a good guy. They were actually able to open up to each other, and she wouldn't trust somebody that much. What's very great and to take away from all this is that Yelena is now questioning exactly what's happening and what's going on. So will she continue and pursue the Thunderbolts? Maybe. The Avengers, probably not. She doesn't believe in them. She doesn't believe in what they do. They don't believe, having an icon be so high and, mighty. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a twist. And the fact that, like, her chemistry that she has with Kate Bishop is definitely, people on the internet are already shipping them. So yeah, I think that's something that the MCU is going to carry out, and we'll see where that takes them. One last thing, and this is like the last Easter egg I'm going to bring up, is the Kingpin Hawaiian shirt with his blazer. This is actually from the Spider-Man Family Business issue 1, where you actually see him on the cover with that exact attire. So again, this series was just, this is my last not review, but tie into all this. It was a great series. It showed so much range in how they're able to take stuff from the comic books and actually bring it to life and not make it look cheesy or too cartoony, especially for a guy who's just flinging different kinds of arrows. And again, even those, the different type that he was creating, we do see a catalog of all that. So definitely kudos for them for bringing so much light onto Hawkeye, but also hopefully the fans also gain more respect for what he does and kind of see him more of a bigger Avenger than just this dude again with the bows, as they've phrased him whenever they talk about or mention the Avengers. And at the end, of course, we get the musical. Nothing crazy or exciting. It's just that it's funny that they kind of do a little slow burn by mentioning the Accords, how they say, oh yeah, you helped us, but in the end we kind of blame this on you anyways. But yeah, so what are your thoughts about the finale? Some things were kind of shortened up or kind of tied in too quickly. I guess it is what it is. Did you guys want more? Do you guys are hoping for a season 2? So we will leave you with that. If you enjoyed this episode or learned anything, we definitely would appreciate if you hit that like button, but also subscribe. This way you stay in tune with all of our comic book knowledge thrown in and, trying to break this down for you. Also, we always have our artists that we have so many lined up for 2022. And speaking of the artists, there's this contest that we have going on. So the Dan Mendoza one has ended on the 15th of December. And then the Nightmare Before Christmas contest, which is still ongoing, it ends January 1st, 2022. We'll have a live episode. So we're going to try this for the first time on our channel. We're going to, tell you when to tune in. This way you guys can see, we're giving everybody a fair chance to see who wins these two contests. But we also have a really cool unboxing for you, something for the channel actually, so for you guys as well, to show and kind of give you a little preview of what's to come for the next year. Anyways, guys, take it easy, happy holidays, and yeah, peace.